Hello again, everybody, and God be with you. I've come to read another story from Bob Hartman's New Testament Tales. See if you can work out which story this is. It's called The Boring Version. Nathan hated waiting. It's hot, he moaned. I'm bored, he groaned. What are we doing here anyway? If I have told you once, sighed his mum, I have told you 100 times. We are waiting to see Rabbi Jesus so that he can ask for God's blessing on you. But I don't want to be blessed, Nathan sighed back. I want to go and play with my friends. That's the strangest thing I've ever heard, grunted Aunt Rebecca, who was waiting with her twins right behind him. Not wanting a bless. So, do you two want to be blessed? Nathan asked the twins. Pickle, said Moses. Who? Giggled Jake. I'm taking that as a no, said Nathan. They are 2 years old, huffed Aunt Rebecca. You can hardly expect them to understand. Well, I'm 10 and I don't understand either, Nathan grumbled. I mean, what good is it, being blessed? Does it make you cleverer? Does it make you happier? Does it make you richer? It doesn't make you anything, his mum answered. It's just a way of asking God to be with you, to take care of you. What's wrong with that? Nothing, I guess, Nathan shrugged, if it doesn't take all day. We've only been here for an hour, sighed Aunt Rebecca. That's hardly all day. Ducky, added Moses. Pooh, giggled Jake. Another hour went by, and Nathan spent most of that time on the ground, cracking one rock against another. We haven't even moved, he moaned. There's nothing to do, he groaned. Why is this taking so long? It's kind of hard to tell, said Nathan's mum, standing up on tiptoes and craning her neck to see ahead. There are a lot of ill people who have come to see Jesus to be healed. Perhaps that's why it's taking so long. You'd think he'd do all the quick stuff first, Nathan grumbled. A blessing here, a blessing there, get it out of the way, and then on with the harder things. I'm sure it doesn't work that way, huffed Aunt Rebecca. How do you know? Asked Nathan. Have you ever seen Jesus heal anyone? Well, no, not personally. She was huffing again, and puffing a bit too. But I just know we have to take our turn, and you have to be a little more patient. I'm being very patient, Nathan cried. We've been here for 2 hours. And we'll stay here until we see him, she insisted. You should take a lesson from the twins. They're not complaining. Nathan rolled his eyes. They're asleep. Snuffled Moses. Snored Jake. Another hour passed, and still there was no movement. Nathan lay on his back, perfectly still, staring at the sky. Get up, grunted Aunt Rebecca. You're embarrassing us. But I'm paralysed, said Nathan through clenched teeth. Can't you see I need help? Maybe someone will notice and they'll let us jump the queue. I'll do something if you don't get up, his aunt threatened. And then you'll really need some help. Mum, cried Nathan, teeth still clenched. Aunt Rebecca's been particularly hateful to a poor paralysed person who only wants a bit of a blessing and a miracle or two. It's not funny, Nathan, his mum sighed. And it's nothing to joke about. Get up. All right, he moaned, sitting up. Hey, look, I'm healed. Very amusing, huffed Aunt Rebecca. Moses sat there quietly, but Jake had lots to say. Pooh, mostly, and pooh. Sometime in the middle of hour number 4, the queue began to move. At last, shouted Nathan, we get blessed and we can go home, finally. That's what it looks like, said his mum, craning her neck again. Jesus' helpers seem to be making 2 queues, one for people who have children and one for those who don't. Ha! What did I tell you? Nathan grinned. They're going to do us first and then get on with the hard cases. One of those helpers must have been listening to me. Aunt Rebecca shook her head. You really do have a high opinion of yourself, don't you, young man? As if Jesus' helpers would take advice from you. Why, that's just a load of puppies, said Moses. And Jake? Jake was nowhere to be found. Where did he go? Cried Aunt Rebecca. He was here. I saw him just a minute ago. Don't worry, Aunt, Nathan replied. He can't have gone far. I'll find him. And off he disappeared into the crowd. Nathan ducked and squirmed and wriggled through a maze of feet and legs and children. Lots of them looked like Jake from behind, but Nathan would not be fooled. And finally he found his cousin right at the front. There you are, he shouted, and he was immediately shushed. Quiet, said one of the waiting parents. Jesus' helpers are about to tell us what to do. Go home. That's the first thing that Jesus' helpers said. And the second thing was even worse. Jesus has more important things to do. He doesn't have time for all these children. Everyone was shocked and stunned into silence. Everyone but Nathan. Go home, he shouted. Go home! We've been standing in this queue for hours, bored out of our minds, waiting for just one little blessing. I'm not even sure what a blessing is, but I've waited and waited and waited for one, and I am not going home until I get it. Nathan, called his mother, bursting through the crowd. Nathan, it's not your place to speak. Be quiet. That's right, added Aunt Rebecca. Be quiet. And then she looked around the angry crowd. He's not my son, mind you, she added. But he's right, someone shouted. It's not him we're angry at, shouted someone else. It's them, shouted several people at once, and they were pointing at Jesus' helpers. And so you should be, came another voice. Jesus' voice, and it was angry too. I don't know what you are thinking, he said to his helpers. And he picked up Jake and handed him to one of them. Children are trusting and loving and innocent. They are exactly the kind of people I want in the new world I'm making. In fact, if you want to follow me, you need to become just like them, not chase them away. Let the children come to me. That's what I say. And the crowd gave a cheer. Then Jesus put his hand on Nathan's head and prayed for him. Oh, thanks, Nathan smiled. I'm still not sure what a blessing is, but I'm glad you gave me one. And I'm even more glad that you told off those helpers of yours. The one holding Jake in his arms looks as if he's really learned his lesson. He does look upset, Jesus nodded. And maybe just a little disgusted, observed Nathan's mum. Oh, yeah. Can you smell? Added Nathan. And that's when Aunt Rebecca cringed and cried, Jakey, no! And Jake just giggled. Pooh! Well, I think you might have realised that was the story where Jesus said, "Suffer the little children to come to me." And he's told all of us adults that we have to be a little more open and innocent and believing, just like children. Thank you for listening. We'll have another story next week. God be with you.